Hello everybody, welcome back to the UK Sim Racing Community Pro MX-5 series here on ESPN. It's going to be an interesting one today here at Daytona Road. Going to be a very slipstream fest kind of a race, and to co-commentate with me today I'm joined here by James Riles. Hello.
Hey, how's it going, sir?
It's going pretty good, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Really excited to get this thing going. I know finally on the road course, I'm somewhere that I can relate to in Daytona. Looks like a beautiful day in Florida here.
Yeah, it sure does, and we can get up the race info just to confirm that as well. It's a nice cool 19 degrees Celsius. I'm not quite sure how that is in Fahrenheit to translate to you, James, but oh well. 31% on the old humidity. Bit of cloud cover, so probably quite grippy out there at the moment. We'll see how that changes on the multiple race format we have here. But it looks like it's going to be an interesting one here with 4 races to go. We've got here, then Interlagos GP, then Tsukuba, then Snetterton 300 to finish out. That finishes out not only this season, but the championship as a whole. As you may or may not know, James, they've got effectively 3 seasons in a championship.
No, I did not know. I know the races are a very interesting heat style race that I'm excited to see one more time. But I did not know about the championship. Did not know. Can you explain that a little bit further?
Yeah, so they basically follow the iRacing weeks with 12 weeks of racing per season. So we've had the spring season, we've had the summer season, this is the autumn season, and they basically take the points from all of those 3, and then that's the overall championship. Obviously you can fight for the individual ones just as a sort of pride thing, but the main thing that they're here for is the overall, and I have the points for it up here. So Dan Hunt is the leader by a strong 613 points. He's sitting on 8,645 overall. Martin Sampson in second place with Pete Newman not far behind. So it looks like it's going to be quite easy. Well, I wouldn't say easy, but it's quite solid for Dan Hunt coming into the last 4 races of this overall championship. It sort of turns into a race of attrition in the end with these point standings, I think.
Yeah, and that's what every week, race to race, it is a battle of attrition. You've got to be real consistent in the weeks, so I would imagine that translates to the championship as well, and the way these guys run it over here at UK Sim Racing.
Yeah, exactly. We've it's sort of thing that rewards staying in a race even if things have gone wrong. It rewards turning up every week. It just rewards consistency overall, and that's shown by someone who is very quick but maybe not the most consistent driver, Dan Bristow. He's definitely got the pace to win outright at pretty much every track. He's down in 9th in the championship. Whereas some people who may not be as fast but are definitely have the consistency are with and if not above him. And now we are just getting into qualifying. We'll see who's the first out. Looks like it's Steve Hefford, if there's no one in front of him. Yes, it is.
Yeah, going to be taking some qualifying laps here. They do a running qual, so everybody gets a chance to get out there, scrub the tires, get warmed up. Here at Daytona, so super important to get out there as we see Steve really giving those tires the business to try and get them up to speed in these MX-5s. So hard in such a light car to get those tires up to speed. It's not like one of the heavier cars where you can just do a little trail braking. You really got to work those tires in.
Yeah, exactly, and I won't be surprised here to see if Steve Hefford is to let Dan Hunt through, since his teammates are directly behind Dan Hunt. We've got the 2 Momo drivers behind, 1 ahead. They normally like to run out together in qualifying, and it's especially important here as we come onto the first bit of the banking. in these MX-5s, I know for a fact that the slipstream is all important, as Steve Hefford very very in control on the banking, as he's still warming his tyres, even though he's like about 30 degrees to the left. And yeah, he does does let Dan Hunt through there.
Maybe a little bit of showmanship there by Steve Hefford, letting everybody get by. You don't want to get caught here in the bus stop. Of course, this is just an out lap, so it really doesn't matter what the timing is look like for Steve or Andy or any of those other guys that are out there right now. Possibly getting behind everybody to slipstream through into one. We'll see as that develops through. So one of the things I love about this is you are going to have to team up to get the fastest time in qual. And this is the only qualifying they're going to get. They race 4 different sessions with an invert. So it's very important here in this first race to go in, get yourself a good qual, get yourself settled in right in the front of the field so you don't have to battle, especially at this very treacherous turn 1 we're going to see Peter Van Gool take here. Especially in the Miatas. They're really responsive, but they can step out if you're not expecting that, going from 5th gear down to 2nd. It's quite the transition for these cars.
Yeah, exactly, and you can see just how confident these drivers are, even on their first lap, going down into first gear, which I know to be quite a treacherous gear, to be honest. If you've got quite a heavy right foot, then you might not want to be in first gear so much, if not at all. You can definitely take the tighter corners here in 2nd, but first will give you the traction off the line. And I'm just going to stay on board for this lap here, just to see the entire lap fully. And we're just coming out of the infield section here onto the first stretch of banking, and then second stretch of banking just after the chicane.
Yeah, very important to get your momentum up here. You want to get as low as possible without getting on that apron. Coming into the bus stop, it's going to be very, very treacherous for these guys. Just like turn 1, as you're going full speed in these Miatas, and then you got to find your braking zone. Almost harder in these because you're braking so much later than you would in a NASCAR or some of the other guys, the GTEs or the GT3s. You really can work that brake in, but with these Mazdas, you don't want to lose that momentum because it takes so much time to get to that 5th gear, as we're seeing here with Peter Van Gool. It just takes so much time to get spun up. You can't scrub too much speed in these chicanes.
Yeah, absolutely. He's dragging out 4th gear all the way until you before he gets up into 5th, and we saw Dan Hunt got a better exit out of the chicane, but you can see immediately here how the slipstream is affecting proceedings, as Peter Van Gool goes 6/10 faster than Dan Hunt, and that's actually put Peter Van Gool in provisional pole, and Dan Hunt in 5th place at the moment. Let me just change that to a gap. There we go, that's a bit more useful. And just we'll see the times rolling in here. Side by side in qualifying. That's not ideal.
Yeah, no, it's going to put a lot of air. No spoilers on these Miatas, but it does put air on the windshield. Any amount of drag that you can have on that car, you definitely don't want. Of course, they are the convertible, so dumping air right into the cockpit of the driver next to you. He's going to hear about that in the trailer, I'm sure. As I wonder if Peter Van Gool is going to get in front of, who was that, Steve Hefford? Or who is he working with to get that fastest time?
So he's just following Dan Hunt at the moment, which is very useful for these Momo guys. They always tend to qualify together, even if it's not one of these tracks where staying behind someone is extremely key. But I think it's quite lucky here that they've found themselves directly behind another driver as well, just for the simple fact that they all get a slipstream, and the guy at the front's not just left hanging.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to double back here after this lap and try and get some of that power. Because you really can't bump draft here. You know, that's not what we're looking at. But that guy in front, not getting the full advantage. He's really the gas hog, taking all that wind and everything, pushing it over as we see Pete just absolutely using that slipstream to his advantage, kind of backing up that corner and getting a run. There he goes. Teammate going to hop down behind him for this next lap so he can get a better time to be up there.
Yeah, so Dan Hunt's probably going to drop himself to the back of this train just so they can get a decent lap in, as we're seeing more times piling in. It's just Jamie Ayres on top at the moment with a 2:07.7. A fairly sharp drop off for what we're used to, but that's probably just because of the trains that have to form, and you can see the train directly behind Peter Van Goor here. That's about 8 cars next to each other in qualifying as Dan Bristow goes on to provisional pole, and there's contact in qualifying between the two optical green cars.
See a little bit of damage on the rear end. Very unfortunate for that. That's going to slow him down, and you can't come down and get a fresh car. That's not how this works at the UK Sim Racing. Once you get out of your car, you're done. So if he does try and come and get that damage repaired, which I can't imagine that he has the time to do with only about a minute and a half of qualifying left, 2 minutes, I'm sorry, you got to ride out that damage, and hopefully you can slipstream off somebody to get a little bit faster.
Yeah, well, it is a 15-minute qualifying session, so they've got a bit more time.
Hey, there we go. Even better.
But, yeah, I just forgot to have that graphic up. But yeah, it is definitely still something that you probably don't want to be doing, because obviously that's all just time wasted in the pits. But you can still see the strategy here in qualifying, because Dan Bristow's just taking the high line, making cars on the lap go past so that he can sit behind them. I think that's pretty much all we're going to be talking about today, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. As these guys, I mean, the slipstream's so important. Tires not going to be a huge factor here. I don't think we're going to see any drop off, just because they're going to have that time where they're on the oval portion where those tires are going to cool down. So I don't think we're going to see too much tire talk. The infield's not super aggressive here at Daytona. Just really going to be interesting to see how the passes and where the passes are going to be made, because you have that huge oval portion and then a very technical infield where there's not a lot of opportunity to get by in these lower powered MX-5s.
Yeah, no, exactly. There aren't really many overtaking opportunities here if people keep it all together in one piece and in a straight line. Turn 1 is a very brave one, but also very doable. Chicane, that also tends to be a decent spot, I think. But off the top of my head, I can't really think of anywhere else unless you manage to follow someone through right behind and just get them somewhere on the infield.
Yeah, and it's dangerous on the infield. You're much more likely... we're going to see a lot of outbraking here as they come into the bus stop, the only chicane here at Daytona. You can outbrake there and get a good run on the inside, but it's also another very dangerous place to pass. I can maybe think coming onto the oval is another place where you can really make some headway, as we're going to see him pop down low, lets everybody else go by.
That's the trouble with
cars going through the grass.
Yeah, that's the trouble with letting people through. You have to sometimes get yourself onto the grass. Who else have we got on a lap that we haven't seen much of? Oh, that's probably not where you want to be in qualifying, I have to admit, just all on your own. Alan Toon there not finding anyone to be with in qualifying, and to be perfectly honest, the time is showing for it. That just shows how much you lose when you don't have someone in front of you.
Yeah, it's like taking all that air. Imagine when you're behind a semi on the interstate and how much of that air you get right when you pull out from behind it. That's what these guys are getting on these Miatas, is all that air. The guy in front of you is doing all the work. You get to just ride back there and chill. The engine is getting a lot more air once you pop out on that inside, so you can kind of get a little bit of slipstream in the MX-5s, but I don't think we're going to see too much shake and bake. Just the ability to get into one just as fast as possible, and if we see it, we're going to see it right at this portion of the track where everybody has to slow down. As I think I'm kind of just repeating myself over and over. What I'm getting to is it's going to be a fantastic race. That's it. It's going to be a great race.
Yeah, absolutely. We always have great racing here, but this track especially provides even more great racing. It's almost like the DRS system in Formula 1. Ooh, Alan Toon turning into a bit of an aircraft there. But I was just saying, yeah.
Channeling his inner Bubba Wallace there. In the Daytona.
It's almost like the Formula 1 DRS system, but you can always have it. But let's see who else is going to be coming across the line. They all seem to be in one fairly big group at the moment. Yeah. Once the camera pans round to the oval section, you can just see that that's pretty much everyone in a fairly big group. Got Jamie Ayres there just waiting for, I think that's Steve Hefford behind him. So they could be together on a qualifying lap, but coming in now, only 3 minutes to go. These drivers are going to want to have found their groups by now, and they're going to want to setting some quick times.
Yeah, Charles Kellerman there in 18th. It looks like he's working with Steve Hansford. They're both trying to get a fast time. They haven't been able to yet, with 4 laps coming on their 4th lap completed, as that's not going to help them to pop out beside each other at all. It's like a parachute on these vehicles.
Yeah, no, the issue is with these cars, though, if you try and bump draft someone, especially in qualifying, then you might end up getting some X's, and then you won't even have a lap. So it's a sort of what do you do type situation. But going side by side into turn 1 probably isn't it, as you come on to what is going to be the last qualifying lap for these drivers.
Definitely. The best thing that you can do to get yourself a fast time is you want to pace yourself and be really far out through the infield portion. You don't want to push on the guy in front of you. Get about 2 seconds to a second and a half back, and then once you enter the oval, that's when that's going to come into play, where you can really start closing the distance just until you get up to them, and then you got to make a real aggressive move to the bottom and hope that they're on the same page and don't block you. I mean, I don't know why you would in qualifying, but and get away from the area that they're disturbing. If you can do that, you can really get a huge advantage on speed to get you, I would bet, half a second to a second faster if you play it right. But you got to kind of do a little bit of a air bubble, kind of bubble push, where you get that cushion behind the car in front of you. But we're not really going to see those speeds where that cushion's going to be evident here. But you definitely can't go bumper to bumper.
I mean, as we can see, this is perfect overtaking range at the moment. But in qualifying, going 3 wide into the bus stop chicane, I have to admit I'm not the quickest driver in the MX-5s, but I can see that's probably not the best idea, as the checkered flag is now waving. Dan Hunt's going to be the first to come across the line and take the checkered flag. He's come up into 6th place and get back off of Scenic. Ralph Cullinan is the next to come across. Looks like he's on a fairly slow one. Yep. Andreas Katz just coming up there as well. Jamie Ayres there working for Steve Hefford to get him a quicker lap. I doubt Jamie Ayres is going to be any quicker, but Steve Hefford may well be. And he's going to be the second to last driver to cross the line here. What is it going to be? Any improvement? No improvement on that time. And now we just wait for Alan Toon to be the last driver to cross the line in this qualifying session. And then we can get underway with our first race.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So just to review, folks, what these guys do is they're going to have one race off the qualifying, and then they're going to take a quick 10 to 15-minute break in between races where they're going to get into a new session and restart things with a random invert. I think it's 1 to 12 and then an all, correct? Or 7 to 12.
7 to 15, and then an all, I think.
Okay, and they'll do that 3 more times, or they'll have 4 races total, so 3 inverts, and then the last race is just run what you brung. It should be a real exciting one. So it gives these guys a chance to, if they do have some calamity early, have a bad finish, they're still not screwed on points. They can come back the next race and give it a go. As I really like that idea for a race like this. The MX-5s are not really built for the endurance machines. It really gives everybody the opportunity to come out here and battle, and it's going to be an exciting one here at Daytona if it's anything like qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. If we saw racing in qualifying, then imagine how much racing we're going to be seeing in the races. Race 1 tends to be a more careful affair, with people just trying to... Effectively, they're going to be where they are in pace anyway. There's a few surprises here, considering the nature of this track, but it tends to be more careful because you're already around people of your pace. But then in the next 3 races afterwards, those at the front will likely be starting behind people that they are quicker than, and so they want to be dispatching of them as quickly as possible to try and race their own race, and then it becomes a little bit more chaotic, and that's always a fun sight. But eventually this qualifying session will finish. And there we go. Just coming into the race then, I will bring up the grid. So we've got Dan Bristow starting from pole position. There is his car. With Jamie Ayres starting in second, Cesare Rizzo in third, with Joe McDonald in fourth, Peter Van Gool starting in fifth, with Daniel Hunt sixth, Steve Hefford is in seventh, with Craig Jones, the top am, being in eighth. Carl Jacquelet is starting in ninth, with Andreas Katz rounding out the top 10. Roger Morton starting in 11th, with Ralph Cullinan 12th. Carl Hardy 13th, with Andy Maxwell in 14th. Mick Barry is in 15th, with Darrell Wright in 16th. Steve Hansford is starting 17th. Charles Kellyman is starting 18th. Scott Malcolm starting 19th. 20th is occupied by Alan Toon, and 21st is Andy Littler, with all drivers doing qualifying. So they were all good in the last race, is what that means.
Definitely. Everybody being able to get out there and put down some good times as we are going to get gridded up here, guys. If you are watching on YouTube, we appreciate the heck out of you over here at ESBN, Esports Broadcasting Network. You can go ahead and drop a like. We appreciate it. As well as subscribe if you want more awesome racing. We got it 7 nights a week, folks. And let us know who you're looking for in the drivers. We're going to get going green here. Daniel Bristow off to a really good start. A little bit of wheel spin from everybody. That's to be expected on the banking, as the inside line has the advantage coming into one.
Yep, Cesare Rizzo had a really good start as well there, just already getting past Jamie Ayres, who was starting in second place. We're going to look a bit further back as well. Joe McDonald might be looking to have a go on to Jamie Ayres into this next corner. That's not quite going to happen. Are they too wide behind? Looks like Steve Hefford and Dan Hunt are going at it now for a bit. And it also seems like, yeah, there's a bit of a bit of a scrap up at the front as well. Everyone's got through clean, which is nice. I say that. There's contact there between Steve Hefford and Jamie Ayres and Joe McDonald. 2 Momo cars, getting them confused. Allows Peter Van Gool to go through, and here's Steve Hefford now making it 3 wide, coming on towards the banking. Who's going to get the best run out here? Dan Hunt's joined the affair. Cesare Rizzo is going to get a run on Dan Bristow up at the front as well. But there's so much action here, you sort of don't know where to look.
Definitely, as we're on the oval portion here, Cesare Rizzo trying to get to the outside of Daniel Bristow. He has it, but we are coming into the bus stop, folks. It's going to be a hard left and a right. Looks like Daniel's just going to give it up, fall back in line, as there is a cascade of cars behind them. Everybody trying to get in. We'll see if they make it through safe. The 75 is Joe McDonald trying to get by Steve Hartford as we come out onto the heavily banked second portion of the oval. Everybody getting in that slipstream. This is where we're going to see everybody trying to posture up, as you cannot get too close to the car in front of you, but you definitely have nothing to dump that air onto on the outside. So we see Joe McDonald trying to work it there.
Yeah, we'll just see what happens into turn one. Looks like Dan Bristow has managed to get it on Cesare Rizzo, unless he decides to stick it around the outside. Probably not the best idea here, 2 minutes into a 15-minute race. There's plenty of time to do what you want, and what is this gaggle of cars in the back? 2x2x2x2 coming into turn one. Dan Hunt is at the front of this train, followed by Steve Hefford. Carl Jacquelet is alongside Joe McDonald. Katz is going to join alongside Joe Jacquelet now as well. Just up at the front, looks like, oh, there's contact down in the back. That's Peter Van Gool dropping as well. As almost difficult to commentate here, too much action.
Yeah, Roger Morton involved in that one. Pete Van Gool, Scott Malcolm, everybody involved in that last little bit of fun one. That's actually going to send Roger Morton to the hauler. He's going to take it out of here.
Yeah, he's decided that there's too much damage on that car. Well, the car might have decided it might not have a wheel on it, who knows. Scott Malcolm has also decided to end his race early. Looking back up now at the front, we're going to have the eventual action coming into the bus stop chicane. Cesare Rizzo choosing the inside now after Dan Bristow makes a bit of an aggressive move to the right to go a bit up the banking. That's done before the chicane. We'll have a look behind. Is there any action here? There is.
Big issue with this 07.
That's Dan Hunt
It's gonna be
spinning
Dan
around.
Hunt. Still hasn't got that thing gathered up.
Yeah, it looks like a car also cutting the chicane. That was Joe McDonald. Maybe he had to do that in avoidance. But are we going to have three wide action here coming off of the banking? Nearly. I don't think the 32's got any run though. He's going to prove me wrong, as we are three wide here with Cullen, Jacquelet and Katz. Who is going to make it out of this one on top? Looks like it's going to be Jacquelet on the inside. Cullinan manages to get through on the outside, and Andreas Katz, quite smartly there from the middle, decides to back out of it slightly. In all of that, yeah, in all of that, Cesare Rizzo in the lead again. Dan Bristow right on him.
That's Cesare?
Yes.
How do you say that? Cesare, yeah, Cesare took the lead. These guys have been trading shots all day here. Now that they're in the infield, we're going to see if Cesare is going to get past on the outside. He is, but he's got a big left-hander coming up. We'll see. Oh, man. Daniel Bristow getting a little bit squirrely there, as we're going to come on to the oval portion. One of the tightest turns in the track, as he is flicking that thing in there.
Yeah, looks like Cesare's going to be behind for now, but obviously that means that he'll probably get past before the chicane once again. So that's pretty much a foregone conclusion, so we might as well look at this. Three wide nearly down on the oval, just a bit further behind here. We've got Darrell Wright here, Mick Barry and Andy Maxwell. Looks like Mick Barry's going to try and go for the pair of them, but Andy Maxwell making a bit of a resurgent effort on the outside. I don't even know if that's English.
You cannot go three wide into this chicane. That's everybody gets spread out there. Andy Maxwell even getting pushed off track a little bit on his own doing. That's going to give Michael Berry by. And now we got Andreas Katz and Craig Jones on the oval, working on each other here. As he's going to try and make a look on the outside. It's not there. He's going to dive to the inside, as he's got a battle in front of him as well. As we're going to come into the hard left-hander after they
Yep.
hit the flag. This is definitely a deceptively hard turn. It's kind of a
Ooh.
increasing radius. Oh, a little bit of a checkup there as they're now in the infield.
Yeah, Bristow there just forcing Cesare Rizzo a bit wide, and that allowed Steve Hefford through, and he's got Jamie Ayres right on his back bumper now as well. They're 2 wide still behind them with Craig Jones and Andreas Katz. Katz just managing a move on the inside. Steve Hefford here making good ground. Oh, who's that off? That's Ralph Cullinan.
Yeah, Ralph falling really far back. He just dropped 5 positions, going really far off track there. We're on board with Craig Jones in the infield, working on the 23 of Andreas Katz. Now Dan Hunt and Michael Berry. Michael trying to make his way up. He's up 4 positions so far, following the 84 of Darrell Wright. Moving through the field, but they've got Peter Van Gool, who was very fast in qualifying, is showing a little bit of crack in the armor here in 9th position, falling back 4 places. So we're going to see if he gets hung out to dry here, as we've got a pretty substantial draft through the oval. Darrell White's going to look to the outside. That seems to be the play. No block incoming, but he is going to run him a little bit higher as we come into the chicane. 3 wide into the chicane again.
I'm sure they'll get something done before that. That looks like Dan Hunt's just managed to get it done early, and ooh, that's Andy Maxwell managing to get alongside right as well. There's a bit of contact coming through, but it's all good in the end, and it looks like we're going to have a battle for the lead, this time between Steve Hefford and Dan Bristow. Steve Hefford taking the lead here. Is Rizzo going to have enough of a run to be able to get to them, though? Looks like he might be able to, and Dan Bristow's going to come back into the slipstream of Hefford. We're coming 3 wide into turn 1 for the lead. Told you this track would produce good racing, as Rizzo decides to back out of that one immediately. Bristow is going very wide for a bit of a cutback move. He's going to come right up close to the grass there. He's fighting very aggressively for this lead. Steve Hefford now around the outside, just backs out slightly. Rizzo's going to be on the inside, but Hefford's going to have that all-important slipstream, but he's going side by side with his teammate Jamie Ayres. Who wants that one? Jamie does.
He takes it. He's going to give it to him here. This is what I love about this track, is you can do whatever you want on the infield as long as you're staying consistent. As we see Daniel Bristow really doing well in the infield. That's what's kept him at that 1 position. But once these guys pop out of the oval, all bets are off. You have so much track to work with and just so much speed to be able to pop out and get yourself a little bit of clean air and get rolling here, as we see Steve Hefford like a fly on the wall of Jamie Ayres. We're going to see if he's going to make a move here, if he's going to work with him to get a little bit closer. Because that was a little bit of a bump there. A little bit of a bump draft going on. A little tandem driving from the 2 and the 46 of Jamie Ayres and Steve Hefford.
Yeah, maybe as expected from the teammates, and just backing off there before the chicane. Very smart of him to do so. Just that he doesn't accidentally run his teammate over. But it's really interesting to see the swapping positions here, because if you're ahead on the exit of the chicane, then you're not going to take the position on the line, but you'll probably take it into turn 1. Although I might be being proven wrong just as we speak. They're going to go 3 wide again up towards the line. Bristow and Ayres now. Rizzo deciding to back out of it a bit. Steve Hefford coming through as well. Bristow on the inside, Ayres on the outside. Nearly a bit of contact there. Bristow just putting his mark on this race, and he's very much so. I feel like he's very much so dominant into turn 1 so far. He's one of the last ones to back out here, it seems.
Yeah, it's kind of a you wouldn't expect it, but turn 1 you have the advantage if you start pretty high, so that that passing car going to the right side, the oval kind of forces you to pass high here. You really got to make that car work, though, to get through turn 1, as we're on board with Carl Hardy watching him battle with Carl Jacquelet in the 42. This infield is proving to be quite the gauntlet for these drivers. You got to get past the slower cars, as Carl is up 6 positions so far, really working that number 173 Miata.
Yeah, I think here it's almost more impressive if you can make up a load of positions, just because of how it's like easier in comparison to other tracks to effectively stay with people and re-overtake. But let's look forward to the lead for this gaggle of 3 cars coming into the chicane once again. Dan Bristow's going to be making a move up. After this, we're either going to have 1 or 2 laps left. I think it's going to be 1 after this one. Looks like it probably will be. So next lap is going to be the deciding one. It's pretty much for these front 4, all of the previous laps have not mattered. All that matters is you're in slipstream range of the leader as you come onto the final lap, so that you can try and make that pass for the lead in the end.
Yeah, that's going to be hard to do. A lot of cerebral moves that have to be made, because you don't want to go too early. If you go too early, they're just going to give the guy behind you the slipstream, and you're going to get passed. We've seen 3, 4 wide here coming to the checkered. It's definitely going to be interesting, because this gaggle with Carl Jacquelet, Carl Hardy, and Andreas Katz is just waiting for something to happen in front of them. As this, everybody's packed up, it seems like.
Yeah, well, this track definitely suits pack racing, as even with the infield bit and not just the oval, it definitely still suits pack racing, especially with these low-powered cars. You're going to be looking for as much as you can get out of them, and Dan Bristow's got a little bit of a gap here, but that's probably a good thing for Steve Hefford, I think, because he's just going to get a bit more of a run into the chicane. It's just these mind games that you have to play now on the driver ahead as we're coming through onto the oval for what we believe is the final time.
Yeah, you definitely have to. Daniel Bristow wants Steve to actually be a little bit closer to him here, because he's going to get a huge slipstream out of 3 and 4, the oval 3 and 4, after they hit the bus stop here. But in the 47 and the 46 behind him, they have a run as well. They can make a move after this chicane, as Steve's going to get right up to the back bumper of Daniel Bristow. We're going to see if there's going to be any fireworks here coming off. Daniel getting a really good run through, but Rizzo behind him up to the back bumper. He's going to cut off the passing lane of Steve Hefford. That's exactly what Daniel wants to see as we come to the checkered flag here in about, I'd say, a quarter of a mile. As it's a drag race, folks. Daniel Bristow really far ahead. He's trying to make sure that these guys don't get to him, but it's going to come to the line. Now Steve Hefford trying to pull out. We're going to see if he's going to get to the outside. Oh, by a nose. I think Daniel Bristow got the win. Steve Hefford in second. Jamie Ayers and Rizzo in fourth.
Yeah, in the end, only, what is that? That's 100th in it between Dan Bristow and Steve Hefford. Even closer gap between Jamie Ayres and Cesare Rizzo, and you can just see the gaps that form, really, with, you've just got packs of cars that come through at around the same time. Is that Andy Maxwell and Dan Hunt that were 1,000th off each other?
That is amazing. Well, yeah. This is the racing we're going to have all day. I'm really excited about it. We got 3 more heats coming up, folks, of this kind of racing, so don't go anywhere. And, boy, this one is going to be fun.
Yeah, exactly. And we have to, first of all, before we do anything else, decide how the next race is going to line up. It's going to be a 9-car reverse here for the next race. I just need to find the chat on the Discord to put that in so they can start up the next server. There we go, just done that for them, and we'll see here if we can get an interview here. I think Steve Hefford's going to be an interesting one to interview for now. So I will see if I can bring him in. Move to... There we go. Steve, are you alright for a quick interview?
Yeah, buddy, yeah.
Yeah, so that was a really interesting race in the end. Obviously, Daytona, the slipstream is everything, and in the end, you only finished 100th off of the win. What was it like on that final lap, just coming out of the chicane? What was going through your head?
It's a different mentality racing this, really. It's like a game of chess, really, because you don't want to be in first place coming on to the last lap. Third place is ideal. I was so close. I had it down. I thought I was in the lead, to be honest. I thought I had my nose in front coming over the line, but I mean, it was just an excellent, epic race, really. I can't believe it's gone on so quick, to be fair, but yeah, it's just a different mentality altogether. You've got to just think about the long game. I lifted coming round the final before the last bus stop, because I didn't want to, obviously you don't want to take it too wide going into there. So I thought Ches was going to get it. Usually third place is the place to be. But yeah, it was just brilliant fun.
Yeah, no, it definitely looked like you lifted off a bit, and probably the smart decision, but in the end, just about not working. I think if the finish line was about 10 feet further up, then maybe you would have got there. But
7,000 I had it down as.
Yeah, I mean, yours is probably a bit more accurate than mine, but yeah, it's that's just how it goes in the end. But I think you did really well there to come up from 7th, actually, because I was just saying, I think this track especially is a difficult one to come up the field in, despite the easier overtaking opportunities. Would you tend to agree?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, once I think there was a slight incident behind. I think it was Joe and Dan who came together, and that gave us, I think, about 2.5 second gap on the guys behind. So once we knew, we were isolated then, and we all had decent speed and decent draft. So from that point on, even Cats couldn't catch us without the draft, So it just changes the whole racing, really. But once you get in, a group of people, no matter where you are, it's just important that you work together and use the draft, not try and block each other or take it too wide, because you're just wasting your time, then wasting speed. So you've got to use the draft and the overspeed to your advantage and work together. It's really important that you work together.
Yeah, exactly. The teamwork here is really important, even working with your rivals. You only really start racing on the final lap. It's quite an interesting dynamic from the perspective of us here in the commentary booth. And just a note on next race, we've got a grid reversal here of 9 cars. So you'll be starting from 8th place. So it's it could have got a lot worse. The wheel could have been a lot meaner to you, but it's still not going to be an easy one.
No, but that's good. I'll take that.
Yeah, exactly. I thought you would, but I'll let you go now. Maybe get a bit of preparation in for next race, and hopefully we'll see you in the podium positions again.
Hope so. Cheers, buddy. Take care.
Cool, so that has been the first race of 4. We'll be back after about a roughly 10-minute break, but make sure to stick around, because this racing is just going to keep improving. Welcome back, everyone, to UK Sim Racing Pro MX-5 series here on the ESBN YouTube channel. We're just here waiting for race 2 to begin. They've had about 10 minutes to join the server, so that's normally roughly when they start to begin the racing. Take a quick look at the race info, since there are some changes between the races. Obviously they progress in time slightly. No change in air temperature, but the track is significantly hotter by the looks of things. And there is now barely any water in the air to speak of. That's probably not going to make too much of a difference, but the hotter track certainly will. It's going to be a lot easier to overheat your tyres, but naturally it's going to be a lot easier to heat your tyres. As someone doing donuts, that's also a way to heat your tyres, but you probably don't want to be doing that in the race. Let's see, let's follow someone around for a bit while they get some practice in. Someone I haven't didn't see any of in the first race is Andy Littler. He was towards the back in the first race, I believe. Probably didn't have much slipstream to speak of, and then once that happens you just start falling back and back and back from people, and oh dear. And that was definitely because we are just getting into the race. So I can quickly bring up the grid. We've got Peter Van Gool in first place. He was 9th in the last race, so now is first on pole. Craig Jones in second, Cole Hardy, Andreas Katz, Cole Jacquelet, Cesare Rizzo, Jamie S, Steve Heffernan, Dan Bristow was the winner of the last race. Mick Barry starts in 10th with Dan Hunt in 11th, Andy Maxwell 12th. We are already gridding, so I will just show you this. And we are going to be getting underway very, very shortly. And there it is. It's a bit of wheel spin there from Craig Jones up at the top. It doesn't seem like second place is a good place to start. We saw that in the last race as well. Cole Hardy's already passed him. Andreas Katz is now coming at Craig Jones as well. Looks going to be forced more to the outside. There's a bit of contact to his rear bumper, but no wrongdoing there. Going down now into this turn 3. Oh, there's a car in the air. That's Jamie Ayres. He's going to go off towards the barriers. That's an unfortunate start to the race. Looks like he's in the barrier. Yeah, that's not a very good place to be, I have to admit. We've got a bit of a battle for second place here. Andreas Katz just getting past Carl Hardy. We'll see a bit further back. That's Dan Bristow and Cesare Rizzo were side by side there. Bristow just managing to get past. He's already up into 5th place. He's made 4 positions. So important to make these positions early on, so that you can just work your way up the field. You want to be working your way towards the front. Obviously, looking now at the draft, you don't want to be in that first position, but you definitely want to be getting there and getting close to it. Dan Bristow there just working with Craig Jones a bit. Then pulling along to the inside to try and get that position on him into the bus stop chicane. Looks like he's going to get it. He's going to be followed up by Cesare Rizzo there. Actually quite an aggressive move from him, but it does work out in the end. He's going to have to be careful to not lose the slipstream here. They're 2 by 2 in front of them. You've got Katz on the outside of Van Gool and Bristow on the outside of Hardy. So we'll see how these guys do. It's almost like NASCAR here. They're going to be 2 by 2 directly behind each other. Dan Bristow's going to immediately pull out to the right and go for the lead. He's already passed the pair of them. That was an insane run that he got. And we're going to be going into turn 1. But he's going to stick to the outside. So we'll see whether he can sweep round there. Katz looks like he's got the better of him, though, into turn 1. And then the whole gaggle of cars following just behind. Looks like Steve Hefford is in a bit of a battle here with Carl Jacquelet. Who's that coming down the inside? That's caused an almighty accident. I believe that was Dan Hunt trying to come down the inside of the pair of them. And that's just both of them now completely out of the running for a win. And they're going to have lost slipstream by now. So that's their race is effectively over. Just coming back up towards the front here. Carl Hardy still in 4th place. It looks like Peter Van Gool has joined this lead train. We've got a train of 6 cars here, and then a bit of a gap back to Mick Barry. He's done quite well to be in 7th position. And we'll just have a focus on these two going side by side into the chicane. Carl Hardy just backing out of that one, and Bristow trying to make the move on Katz to get up into the lead, and just about makes it. Obviously that's not mattering too much, it's the last lap that really counts, as it is in all races, but this one especially, with the almost strategy that you have to play on track and the mind games that comes with it. And they're going to be 2 by 2 again, coming down towards the start-finish line here on the end of lap 2. Coming towards the start of lap 3. It's just all who's going to have the better run. Katz manages to get in front of Bristow for now. But here comes Cesare Rizzo on the outside. That outside line can work very well for you. You can completely sweep around the outside, but Katz is strong from the inside into turn 1. Rizzo's cut in front of Bristow, but Bristow's going to get a switch back here. Almost on the pair of them. He's now alongside Katz. And he's going to have the outside for this next left-hander. So I'd expect Katz to come out on top of here. And oh no! Rizzo's just spun. Rizzo spun Katz, sorry. There's a bit of contact there. Rizzo just catching the back bumper of Andreas Katz, and Katz going into a bit of a half spin. He's now dropping down. He's down into 10th place, so they're almost dropping like flies here from this lead group. Lap 3 of 7, and now it's a fight between 5. We've got Bristow, Van Gool, Hardy, Jones, and Rizzo in this top group, and it's an extreme uphill battle for those who would want to join them. Back up at the front, and I believe that I'm rejoined here by James. Or maybe not, we will continue. Nevertheless, it's exciting enough that I can cover it on my own. Got Maxwell here now on the outside of Mick Barry. Are they going to try and go 3 wide into the bus stop? Not quite. It's going to be from 6th place down. McDonald from Maxwell from Barry at the moment, but Mick Barry is looking very racy in that work guard by result machine. Barely stated. Ah, there you go. There we go. There we go. He's back now.
It's been school pickup time here in the Americas and the colonies. We got a really exciting race I'm seeing. Daniel Bristow has already made his way back up there, battling for the lead, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been some. There's been a few crashes. We've had Steve Hefford, who we were just interviewing last time around. He unfortunately had a coming together with I can't remember who had a coming together with, but he's had a coming together nonetheless, and as has Katz. So we've got a effectively 5-way battle for the lead now, And battle for the current lead, currently happening between Peter Van Gool and Dan Bristow. Looks like Bristow's going to get the better of Van Gool at the moment.
Yeah, as we're running into my favorite part of the track, the oval here, it looks like Peter Van Gool is going to have an opportunity to back it up. As we are about halfway through this race, we got about 8 minutes to go. That translates to roughly 4 laps here. It takes about 2 minutes each time. So that's what Daniel Bristow is just going to let Peter Van Gool go on the bottom. Does not want to get hung up coming through here on the bus stop, but that's going to give Carl Hardy the opportunity with the momentum on the 21 as he's going to come on the outside. Wow, what a move there by Daniel Bristol to hold off Carl Hardy. As back further on, we see the chicane. Right, this ground level camera really gets the colors popping on that Safeguard 75 Joe McDonald's in on. Sitting in 7th position. Not really much movement from him, but a lot to lose as he's got a whole gaggle behind him. Michael Burney, Scott Malcolm, Andy Maxwell, Charles Kellerman, all locked step. As that's not good if you're in the beginning of this little group. As here we got Rizzo, Bristol. Rizzo moving to the inside, coming into turn 1. It's going to be a treacherous spot for Peter Van Gool on the outside.
Yeah, and looks like Rizzo's managed to take full advantage, but here comes Bristow once again. He's now on the inside, turns outside of Rizzo. That's not a line that usually works into this corner, but it can be done as they're still side by side. Rizzo finally just about making it work. And 3 laps to go here as the laps decided by last race. Coming through the kink now in the infield, and Rizzo still holding that inside line on Dan Bristow. Can he hold it around this time? It's going to turn to the inside as they come onto the oval, and looks like they're still going to be side by side coming onto the oval. But
that was absolutely,
yeah, that's definitely going to let the other guys back in.
Yeah, and that's side-by-side battles. You don't really see. It's a very technical infield with lots of straights. You could almost characterize it as only about 5 turns, 5 hairpins there. Oh, he's going to split the middle. Peter Van Gool splitting the middle of Rizzo and Bristow. That was a huge move. Gutsy call. If the gap's there, take it. As Rizzo is going to now be in the driver's seat looking behind Gould to see if he can make it through on the turnstile here. He's not going to be able to. As really it gets, the way it's setting up, the passes are happening right coming onto the oval and then about halfway through in the end here. We're not seeing much action. Everybody trying to get all lined out before the bus stop. So we now got Steve Hansford and Carl Jacquelet about 20% laps less than Daniel Bristow. I don't know why I went with percentages there. That was weird. As Peter Van Gool is going to take the lead coming into turn 1. And we're going to see what kind of line he takes because the outside definitely gets more momentum. But the inside is had a lot of people working on the inside. As that's what Peter Van Gool is going to do. We saw Daniel Bristow do it last lap. As Daniel Bristow with a huge crossover on Rizzo.
Yeah, he really does.
Move.
He really does like that crossover. I was just going to say the outside to inside line is one favoured by Bristow. We've seen him do it multiple times in race 1. He's done it in race 2 a lot as well. As we're going to come into, well, 1 and a bit laps to go now. Van Gool managing to hold the lead, but he's got an angry pack of cars behind him. Craig Jones just sort of sitting at the back of this pack. He's going to want to have a good infield here to try and stick to them, because he's want to get a bit closer if he wants to challenge for that lead. It's going to be a quite interesting challenge to make, as once again Van Gool and Bristow side by side. Nearly contact by the looks of things coming onto the oval, but Bristow taking it. Looks like here Dan Bristow just dropping back here before we come through the chicane. Obviously after this we are going to be coming towards the white flag lap. And,
It really helps when I unmute
yeah.
my mic, because that was a fantastic call that nobody got to hear. Carl Hardy now in fourth, Daniel Bristow falling back. Rizzo really taking full advantage of this, but even more so, Peter Van Gool able to let these guys race it out and get a good gap on him. I don't think it's going to be enough with the slipstream, but it's definitely going to give him a little bit more breathing room coming into this really awkward turn one. When we look at it from the sky here, you'll see turn one is a decreasing radius turn. So usually the optimal line is to go out as far as you can and then come in and catch that radius about there, which is what Bristow's doing that better than literally anyone else on the track.
Yeah, exactly. He's very good at that line, and he likes to show it as we're now in the final lap. So they're going to be effectively jostling for position for where they want to be coming out of the chicane. That's about half a lap in front of them still. Looks like Bristow, is he going to settle for being third at the moment? Looks like he might try one on Rizzo. He's going to favour the outside, as might get him a bit of a worse run out, but to be fair to him, that might be what you want here.
Yeah, so this is the one coming on is kind of the opposite of turn one. It's an increasing radius, so you can kind of go in a little bit tighter and come out. I'd say he'd want to be in third here, but Carl Hardy going to work on the outside. He doesn't have anybody in front of him to slipstream off of, however. So Daniel Bristow going to follow Rizzo into the turn here. Oh, going up for a little bit of block on Carl Hardy. Carl having to slow down, get to the inside. He's not going to like that coming into the chicane, as Peter Van Gool has a pretty good lead, but that could be manufactured by Rizzo, as you really want to give that car just enough of a gap in front of you to be able to make a move. Hopefully Bristow doesn't get to his outside here. That's where we're going to see try and happen. He's going to get to the outside of Rizzo. Nothing doing, though, as he's out by himself. Now that's going to give Rizzo the opportunity to slipstream. He's going to go high on Peter Van Gool. In the wings, Carl Hardy waiting to see what's going to happen, as he might have popped out too early. Now Daniel Bristow, Peter Van Gool, as we're going to be four wide here for the lead. We're going to see what happens here. They're bumping, they're banging. Take it. Look who's coming up the back. That's going to be Craig Jones from fifth position from the Calamity. Peter Van Gool still not able to get that thing back. Daniel Bristow having to come down pit road, finishing 12th. What a finish. Craig Jones waiting for the mess to happen in front of him. He's going to have Andreas Katz in second and Rizzo in third. Big gainer there. Joe McDonald able to pick up a lot of positions, up to fourth, and Scott Malcolm in fifth.
Yeah, I'm going to see here if I can figure out what happened. Hang on, let's see if I can get the correct replay. Just here, it just looks like the four wide not quite working. Who was that? Peter Van Gool just came down a bit. Bristow. Oh dear. Yeah, that would be a rear drive shaft snap. He wouldn't have been able to come across the line. He's not actually going to finish the race.
Yeah, I think he's actually going to be in the infield care center after that one. That was quite a tumble, as that was just four cars trying to occupy the same spot.
Yeah, I was spinning the wheel there without showing it, actually, but I did spin it, and it came out to the number 10. So we're going to be... It's going to be a fairly similar one, but entirely different people in occupying these spots, because Dan Bristow did not finish from that one, so he's classified down in 18th position. I think the rest of them involved in that did finish. The highest being Cesare Rizzo, managing to effectively escape most of the carnage. But that has effectively gifted the win to Craig Jones. And I believe that's probably one of his first. And I think it would actually be interesting here to interview him, because I just want to see what he thinks about that last lap. Hello, Craig. You alright for an interview? Looks like, unfortunately, he is not here. Ah. Heard something from his mic. Craig, are you
Yes, I'm here.
are you
Yeah.
here and good for an interview? Cool. Very nice. Well, congratulations on the win in the end. It was a very interesting end to the race. Tell us how you saw it from your perspective.
Well, it was completely unexpected, that's for sure. I was sitting back for quite a few laps, suspecting something was going to happen, and I thought I'd kind of had a bad exit out of the chicane, and thought, yeah, that was it. I was going to end up fifth. Had a bit of pressure from, I think it was Katz behind me, and then yeah, all broke out in front of me, and I just went for the gap and. Yeah, managed to get first place. So yeah, extremely happy with that.
Yeah, well, to be fair, you positioned the car exactly where you needed to be on that last lap. You never know what's going to happen coming towards the line at Daytona, and as it turned out, it worked well for you there. James, do you have any questions before we go towards our break?
Just what color is your jumpsuit, just so we can have dry cleaning ready to get you a new one in the car?
It's it's got all sorts of bodily fluids in it at the moment. To be honest with you, with the excitement and the brown pants moment that just happened in front of me. So different colours, I think.
All right, well we'll get that put in for you, sir.
I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, so congratulations again, and we will let you go for prep for the next race. Just a bit of info for you. We always do this in the interviews. It's going to be a 10-car reverse for next race, so enjoy your start from P10. Hopefully you can make it up and potentially get a similar situation next time around, but we'll enjoy the next race, and good luck for it.
Thank you very much.
Cool, so that was our race winner, Craig Jones, on round 2, or race 2 of 4, here at round 9 at the Daytona road course. Got any closing words before we go to our small break, James?
No, not at all. Just exciting racing, and I'm sure everyone's kind of. It looks like everybody's figuring out the draft, figuring out how to run the oval portion. These guys are experts on the infield, so um, these guys know what to do there. But watching them work on and learn on the oval and how these cars react to the draft has been absolutely fantastic. And guys, if you are watching over on YouTube, we appreciate the heck out of you. Esports Broadcasting Network. Go ahead and hit that like. Let us know in the chat who you're watching. We'll give them some extra screen time throughout as a go to for you guys, because that's what we're here for. And I'm just excited about it. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go indeed, and don't go anywhere if you're watching at home, because that's been race 2. We've still got races 3 and 4 to go. It's going to be an exciting one with a 10-car reverse next time around. It's actually going to be Peter Van Gool on pole again. So he's been on pole because of the reverses twice. Does mean 2 unfortunate races for him, though. But we're going to find out what's going to happen in race 3 in probably about 10 minutes' time. So we will see you then. Welcome back, everyone. We're just on the build-up for race 3 of 4 here at the Daytona road course. I'm Jason Salford, joined here once again by James Riles, and I think we're both really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. An amazing finish. Last race, the first race, everybody kind of feeling each other out, and then the absolute just guts that these drivers had to go for it to the line. 4 cars wrecking out, 4 wide. You can't ask for better racing, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, exactly. I think we all are, and well, it's going to be especially fun for our drivers because I know how much fun it is to rag an MX-5 around this track, especially. That slipstream really does feel powerful when you're coming into turn 1. As you can see, they're nearly 3 wide in the practice session. They all really love it, and it's going to be an interesting one actually coming into race 3, because we've got Peter Van Gool once again starting on pole. After that last race, Daniel Bristow is going to be starting from 18th, as he was unfortunately, well, effectively the biggest loser of that accident at the end. He ended up with 3 wheels, probably a broken rear drive shaft, and couldn't make it across the line. He was really close. He was just on that inside bit of grass there, but eventually not able to make it across the line. So it's going to be really interesting for him to see how far he can actually get up this grid.
Yeah, and I think this is a place where you really don't need to worry about how far back you are. You just have to stay out of trouble until you get to the oval portion. Once you get there, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna get there. You're gonna have an opportunity to work and get your way up there. And I think that's gonna be the key for these guys, is to just take it easy through the um, the road portion, and then you can make it through and really have an opportunity to get through there and do what you need to do.
Yeah, everyone has gridded up. So we're going to be getting to the green. By the looks of things, Dan Bristow is not actually here, so he won't be taking part in this race, but we see they get underway. Second place, they're getting a better start than they normally do, so we're not immediately seeing the third place of Roger Morton come past Andy Maxwell. That's almost a streak broken there, as there's a bit of contact further back. That Scott Malcolm's going to be off, but it's going to be Peter Van Gool from Andy Maxwell, from Morton, from Barry, from McDonald, just following Katz here, who's going to be trying to make a move here on Joe McDonald. Are they going to be 3 wide with Mick Barry in the middle? Looks like it's not quite going to happen. But Kat's still alongside McDonald. Is he going to make a bit of a lunge here to try and get as far up as possible in the early stages? Looks like that's not going to work out for him. And I'll ask you now, James, do you have your mic muted? Oh, there's a spinner. That's Roger Morton. Oh, he gets a bit collected there. That's really unfortunate. Who was that? I think that was Cullinan, who's no longer got a front bumper. Yeah, that's a steamy car now.
As we got a little bit of a bump draft here going on between Katz and I believe that's Joe McDonald behind him, working that through. As now we got a big push there. That's not going to help them, as the cars are going to get by for third. Katz still has a lead, but they're going double through the bus stop. That is not good, folks. You don't want to be messing around with that. You're going to lose a lot of your momentum, unable to take the optimal line. As Peter Van Gool and Andy Maxwell. Pete's been in this position before, but not with Maxwell. I believe this is his first time up front. So this is going to be an exciting bit of learning for him, as he's going to have to learn from Peter how to handle these, as they're going to be trading back and forth with that slipstream. We talked about it all day, folks. We're going to keep talking about it.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, I think. not to cut you off there, but it's going to be interesting, I think, because these two are out here on their own. The guys behind have 6 laps now to catch them back up, but obviously they're going to have to work together to do so. So if they manage to work together, then they can all get back up, but if they keep squabbling for positions, and they keep trying to fight for something when it's not the last lap, then it's almost going to be a guarantee that one of these two in your screen now are going to be the eventual winner, unless they come together. So it's quite an interesting one here. We'll have to see how well this group works together. They're all going nicely single file at the moment, and we might see them form a bit of a train here onto the oval.
Yeah, you got to be careful with all this speed they're going to have backing off. They're going to have to stay out of the gas a little bit, out of the loud pedal, if they want to form that drafting train, which I don't think they're going to have a problem catching Peter Van Gool and Andy Maxwell.
Basically already there.
Yeah, they're going to be able to work together, but there's about 7 or 8 cars in that group. So really, Andreas Katz has to be the chain that brings everybody up here, as he's got about a second above and a second behind, as he's going to be standing still once Michael Burney gets to him, because that is a hard thing to do there. As we see in the middle of the track, nobody really bothering with trying to advance position here. Everybody working together, playing nice so far. Rizzo's going to pop out. He wants to be back up front where he was, but unfortunately bad move there to go that high, possibly letting everybody else out in front of him. Carl Hardy and Steve Hefford now doing a little bit of side drafting action, dumping all that air into the inside car of Carl Hardy. That's no bueno, as the 173 is going to slow down heavily from that. But up front, Katz has made his way to Andy Maxwell and Peter Van Gool.
Yeah, it's almost now Katz just sort of transitioning up to this top 3 and then leaving a bit of a gap behind him. So now it's Mick Barry with the work to do, as they're still going side by side into turn 1. Carl Hardy and Steve Hefford. Steve Hefford getting a bit of a switch back there. He's now on the inside. It's going to turn to the outside for the next right-hander. There was a small bit of contact through T1, but nothing wrong doing there. Looks like there's been an incident further back. Scott Malcolm involved in that one. Looks like up at the front here, they're now starting to battle for their position, so this has become one nice train again. We've got 11 cars in this, all the way down to our Race 2 winner, Craig Jones here. And it's definitely the most we've seen in the fight so far, as we're only on lap 3 yet, but we only saw about 6 cars in this group on lap 3 last time. So seeing 11 here is getting very interesting.
Yeah, as everybody is grouped up, this can't last for long. All these guys in the middle all know that what they have to do moving forward, and the time is coming down to make a move. You want to position yourself in a way where you can get up there, as we see Carl Jacquelet really working on the 42. A little bit of touch there, a little bit of beating and banging going on. Luckily, these cars are not going as fast as their counterparts would be on the oval, or that would have been bad news bears for Carl, as he's going to give that position back to Dan Hunt, or was that Craig Jones he got into?
I think that was Hunt and Jacquelet making a bit of contact there. Oh, Steve Hefford moving down directly onto Charles Kellyman, forcing him onto the apron. But Kellyman managing to keep it under control. These cars, as you said, not going as quickly as their counterparts would be on just the oval, so a bit easier to control there.
Yeah, Steve Hefford there just did not know that the car was down there. That's what it looked like. Was not trying to make anything nefarious happen. He's going to give up those positions. Good show of sportsmanship there. Oh no, as Andy Maxwell going to get pushed to the outside, as this is a car slam into the back there.
That's Craig Jones and Steve Hefford have been caught up in each other. Are there any cars still coming through? It looks like that's just completely caught some of the guys behind. We'll have to show a replay of that after this race. But looks like an incident there in turn 1. That's ruined Craig Jones's chance. That's ruined Steve Hefford's chance. All of those behind now with pretty much no way of catching up unless everybody gets involved in an incident. I don't think that's going to happen, but never say never, as anything can happen at Daytona, and it usually does.
Yeah, Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong, as we are working through here. Peter Van Gool and Andreas Katz really just working together, not having any issues. Andreas up 7 positions, but look at Dan Hunt up 14 positions from race start. Started there in 19th, has been able to work his way to 5th currently. He's going to get past Michael Burney to make it 4th, but I think this fight's not over with, as we got, that's the green car in front of him of Andreas Maxwell in the 19, cutting a little bit low. As he's going to get a really good run here coming into the oval. Going to take the high side. Nothing doing there. He doesn't have anybody up front to draft off of. But a little bit of side drafting could get him this position as Katz has taken off. Now working for Peter Van Gool. Peter going to slip high. Not necessarily a block there, but letting him know that he's not going to get it easy. As we are coming to probably about 3 or 4 laps to go here, as we got 4 cars battling for the lead coming into this nasty turn 1. This has claimed a lot of vehicles over the course of the race, and 2 different lines developing here. Very distinct lines, as give it to Andreas Katz as he's able to hold it on the bottom, take a very wide exit here coming into the inside portion.
Yep, so we are running Katz from Van Gool, from Hunt, from Maxwell, and then Mick Barry in 5th place. Looks like a bit of side-by-side action there with... Oh, someone's gone off very quickly there in the background. Oh, that's...
Carl Jacqueline. Carl Hardy.
Jacqueline Hardy. Ayres is now getting towards... getting past them. And now that group of 11 that we had just 2 laps ago coming onto the oval is down to a measly 5. They were getting a bit loose in the back there as well, so hopefully they don't lose this little train. Otherwise we might be only seeing a 3-way fight with 2.5 laps left to go.
Yeah, but that might be good for Andy Maxwell as they come onto the oval portion. He's got himself a little bit of a gap to work with. We saw it last race how important that gap could be between our leaders, Katz, Gool, and Hunt, all coming in here as a pack, as we've got a little bit of a battle for the lead. I believe Peter Van Gool making his move, getting right up to the back bumper of Katz, putting the pressure on. That's really what he needs to do coming into this chicane. Put the pressure on, make the guy in front of you make a mistake, as Michael Berry is going to get past Andy Maxwell right as we pulled away there. Really tempting, it seems like, for these guys to take the high line coming out of the chicane, but it's really nothing doing. That run is not as much as you would expect to... you really don't have to do that here. Maybe to get yourself a little gap organically without losing momentum, as we see Steve Hefford working on Carl Jacqueline. These guys got involved in an incident earlier. Jacqueline and Jamie Ayres, all these guys. He's going to split the middle. How many times have we seen that today? Steve Hefford absolutely threatened the needle, coming down low on Carl Jacqueline. As going into 1, Dan Hunt has the advantage, but here Steve Hefford trying to hold off Jamie Ayres and Carl. A little bit of a brake light there, a little bit of a brake check as he's going to take the inside line, blocking off that run from the 42, and now they are moving on to the road portion.
Yeah, so we are basically here seeing the battle for 7th place at the moment, although Charles Kellyman ahead has no one ahead of him, so they may be catching up pretty quickly to that. It looks like, just switch up to our group ahead, they've kept pretty much intact. Mick Barry and Andy Maxwell not necessarily making inroads on our leaders, although these two are in the AM category, and I do admit they are slightly slower in pace compared to Hunt, Katz and Van Gool, so understandable they drop back a bit in the infield, but coming onto the oval they are definitely going to be making some time up if they stay in that draft.
Yeah, we saw it earlier. An AM guy won the race just by sitting in 5th. able to come through in the back. As we got a little battle for the inside here for the lead. Katz and Hunt. Kat's going to make that pass on Dan Hunt. Dan going to just step in line here. You don't want to go 2x2 through the chicane yet. As you were talking about, the amateurs a little bit off pace on the infield, but here there's not really much skill involved to getting in that slipstream. Not that these guys have a lack of skill. Coming out here racing this close all day is an absolute taxing job, and for Michael Berry and Andy Maxwell to be where they are right now is just a testament to that skill that they have learning here in the UK MX-5 series. As Dan Hunt's going to work a little bit on the outside, we saw him do this earlier, trying to arc into this, do a little bit of a crossover. We'll see how it goes, as he's going to go wide and then cut inside at the last possible moment here. Did not have the tire for it. Did not have the tire to make that move.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed there, Peter Van Gool was just dropping out of the slipstream there a bit of Dan Hunt, and I don't know whether that was just to allow Mick Barry and Andy Maxwell to get right up onto the back of these guys. Sort of Peter Van Gool bringing the two drivers behind them into the fight, giving them as much possible chance. Almost giving himself more chance by putting more drivers into the mix, I guess. But yeah.
What he's doing there is he's backing off because you want to use the most out of that draft, and these guys were already close together. So kind of a cerebral move there to try and back up, give himself as much time as possible. In these super speedway races, you always want to put yourself in at third. That's the best place to be, because you can use the draft. You're going to come up a lot faster. As we're going to see, the white flag is out, so this is the race for the lead, for the win here, as Andreas Katz going to cut to the bottom. Dan Hunt working on the top side. Neither of the cars getting the advantage of the draft, kind of breaking that up. Peter Van Gool falling back hard. I don't know what's going on with that vehicle, but here up front, Katz and Hunt working through the bus stop. You see, make sure everybody gets through here cleanly with the pressure on. Not too hard to throw these things around. As we come back onto the racing surface, Dan Hunt and Andreas Katz really close together here. We're going to see if Hunt has enough space to make the slipstream work, and just how quickly Gould is going to come into frame here. It's going to blow you away, as he's right up on the back bumper. Dan Hunt and Andreas Katz getting him a little bit squirrely, taking the air off the rear of that thing. Here comes Gould. Don't count him out yet. He's had a lot of practice up here as we're coming to the line side by side. Let's see if the 07 has it. He does. 07 going to take the lead. Peter giving himself not enough space, dropping back to third. That's going to be Hunt, Katz, and Gould. As we got another battle forming here. 3 wide coming to the checkered flag. Carl Jacquelet going to try and work the top side. Wow, what a move by Carl to take 7th position away. And then, oh man, you're not even going to let me breathe. We got another one. Steve Hansford splitting the uprights coming down. And I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, it looks like there's not going to be much here. Cesare Rizzo going very slowly there. I'm not entirely sure what's wrong with that car, but it's not healthy. Couldn't see any damage either way, but which is me waiting here for the last two across the line. We've got Alan Toon coming through for 17th and Roger Morton for 18th, but what a brilliant finish for these guys. Dan Hunt just making it work. Peter Van Gool not necessarily giving himself enough space for the run, but very great move from Carl Jacquelet there just to clinch 7th place off of Steve Hefford and Jamie Ayres. But we'll see whether that works out in favour or out of favour of him for excuse me, for the start of the last race of the day. We'll get the wheel spin up for one more time. It's going to be spinning, and it's going to be another 10-car reverse here, which is going to put Carl Hardy on pole with Jamie Ayres on his outside.
Yeah, what a finish there. As we saw, Van Gool's going to be remembering that one. He really has to keep an eye on how far back, and everyone's learning. Everyone's learning as we move into the final race, what it's going to take, how far back you can come up. As we saw that gap, it was about, I don't know, half a second to three-quarters of a second. He was able to get right on the back bumper of Katz and Hunt. So they're going to learn those things. Dan Hunt taking the win for DOF Reality and Sim Racing Studios. What a fantastic run by the 07.
Yeah, I think. Just deciding here. I want to get in for an interview. I think we can get Pete Van Gool in for an interview. That'll be an interesting one. So, hello, Pete. You all right for a quick interview?
Yeah, sure, mate.
Well, a very interesting one at the end there. You saw you dropping back a bit coming onto the last lap, but in the end, just about not giving yourself enough time to get the run up on Hunt and Katz. Just talk us through how the last lap went for you.
Well, it's a bit of a chess game on the last lap. Preferably on the penultimate lap, you're in third position, which I was, and then you do some bunny hopping if you fancy. But Dan and Katz were bum drafting, which caused me not to be able to catch up as fast as I wanted to, and I had to back out a bit going into the bus stop because I was still on a 0x race, and I'd rather have the extra points than crashing out or have a slowdown there. So I just conceded on third, and I was like, all right, I just need this podium and not die like on the previous race. So yeah, well, plan worked out. I got podium, so happy with that.
Yeah, no, it's a good result in the end. It was interesting to see in the previous races. Just chaos can happen. You can unfortunately get involved in it, and there was a bit of chaos further back actually, because you were in an 11-car group on lap 3, and I noticed on lap 5 it was down to the 5 cars that we had at the end. It's just what can you do just to try and avoid the chaos that can naturally happen?
Well, be careful in the first 2 laps, because Maxwell and we kind of caught a gap in the first 2 laps, but then we couldn't really work together because we switched position right before the bus stop, which slows you down a lot, and that made Katz able to catch up. Because if you're like, if you can bunny hop all through the oval bit and just stay behind each other on the infield, you can maintain that same gap all through the race, but we couldn't. So it's just cool tires and try not to fight too much on the infield, especially on the cold tires, because it's no use, because people are going to get back at you on the oval bit with all the draft that's in place on this track.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very strategic one overall. And James, do you have any questions before we go to our final break?
No, Peter, just a fantastic race. I saw you stepping that out in the infield. So we haven't really talked about the infield. What is it like racing on the infield portion here? A lot of technical, hard right-handers. How is that faring for the battles?
If you go in too wide, it's going to just slow you up, and it's going to be hard. And on race 2, I went too hard on the exit on turn 3. Which pushes you wide off the track, and there's a little bump there, which gives you suspension damage. So as long as you don't hit that, you'll be all right for the race, or else you're going to get some top end speed lacking on the ovals. You won't be able to keep up with the pack.
Definitely. Well, again, good job. Hopefully, we'll talk to you at the end of next race, the final one. Everything coming together, everything we've learned through the last 3 races.
Yeah, keep an eye on the guy that's in third position on the final lap, because that's probably going to be the guy who's going to win the race.
Yeah, well,
or 7th or 8th back.
Or 7th or 8th, yeah. Everyone crashes.
True. Once again, congratulations on the 3rd place, and we'll give you the bit of info on the next race as well. Nearly forgot to do that. It's another 10-car reverse. Unfortunately, you're not starting on pole for this one, but I guess that's fortunate with the result that you got this time around. So you're gonna be starting from what, 8th place? Not too bad, I guess.
No, I'll get gunning for the podium again.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll see you up there again next time around. So good luck and congratulations again on the third.
Cheers, guys. Catch you on the next one.
So I think that can just about bring us over to our last break. Got any closing thoughts before the final race?
No, I need to save my voice. This next race is going to be a banger, folks. So be sure and check in.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, a short break from us, and don't leave yet. Race 4 is going to be more interesting than the first 3, I guarantee you. It always is, and I doubt today is going to be any different. We'll be back. Welcome back to Race 4 here, round 9 of the autumn season of the UK Sim Racing MX-5 Pro Series. We are here at Daytona Road, and I'm once again joined by James Riles. We are looking forward to a very interesting one. It's, as normal, the morning here for Race 4, and that will bring with it slightly colder temperatures than the drivers may be used to. So we could see a few more calamities here, James.
Yeah, calamities is definitely some way that I would describe what we're about to see here. As these guys have been fighting for 3 races, about 45 minutes. It's going to be a blast. I think we're going to see a lot of cold tires here on the start. I believe it was you said it was a morning race here at Daytona to finish it out. So until they get them warmed up with a standing start, it's going to be a fun little battle through turns 1 and then I guess the subsequent 7 turns or so as we get started here at Daytona right at sunrise.
Yeah, these drivers are going to have to be careful, well, especially careful in comparison to the last races, to not lock up their brakes. Coming into turn 1, there's going to be a lot less grip than they normally would have. So it's going to be difficult for them here. But these are all very skilled drivers, so I trust them to keep it clean. It's just mistakes can happen, and we may well see it here. We've already seen a few quite large incidents towards the start of these races where everyone's trying to jockey for position as quickly as possible.
Definitely is. And as we get started on our final race, guys, if you are watching in the chat, be sure let everybody know that you're here. Let us know who you're rooting for. We already answered a quick question in the chat, I believe. But yeah, let us know who you're rooting for. You won't want to miss this one, folks. As now, were you able to catch the 24 hours of Daytona that iRacing put on earlier, Jason? Earlier this year?
Earlier this year, I if I remember rightly, I was racing in it. So, yes.
Yeah, definitely. So, the reason I wanted to bring that up is Daytona was one of the biggest events iRacing has ever had. Can you guess the over/under on how many splits were in that race, just for some fun trivia?
Ooh, see how many teams do we got per split? That's probably about what? Let's say roughly 40 teams. I've forgotten how many there were. So, I'm gonna go with a solid 50 splits. I might be overestimating, or I might be under. I don't know.
Wow, that was close. Price is Right rules, you're over by 3. 47 splits. So definitely a fan favorite track here, Daytona. One of those that a lot of people enjoyed racing on. And the reason I bring that up is just because of how much this track matters to some people, and to come out here and be able to be on a track where you can kind of struggle through the infield and really make it up on the oval. It really gives everybody an opportunity to have a chance to come out and win, as we saw earlier. First time winner in the series, and I believe we're going to see more of the same here as we have a huge invert. It was a 10 car invert again.
Yes, yeah, it was. Well, yeah, you're talking about the Daytona 24. It's such an iconic race, really. It's one that I don't want to miss doing virtually, because it's always just so much fun. I remember actually being flipped into the wall, because I'm pretty sure I was in a GT3. I remember being flipped into the wall by an LMP2 up at is turn 4 the right hand one before the kink.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were practicing for it, and a lot of heartbreak there, but it was a good race, and I'm sure these guys are looking to channel their inner Garrett Smithley and come out and run these things in the MX-5s.
Yeah, well, it's a very different game compared to those cars, considering the pace difference. It's
Nope, exactly the same.
Yeah, well, because even in comparison to the GT3s, these cars are lacking on the power department.
No, the Mazda Miata MX-5 is one of the fastest cars on the service, and I will not let you sit here and slander it.
Well,
One of the best to start out for sure. As we're gonna grid up, I'll let you take this one over and quit busting your chops.
I was going to say we're going to see the fastest cars here as
The blazing speed.
eventually the overlay is going to want to work, or it's not going to want to work. Hang on, I'm going to have to restart my my overlay, but that's no problem.
View it and unview it in OBS, and it should fix it.
I'm just gonna restart that quickly. But we are just waiting on a couple of drivers to grid up, so it's going to be 10 seconds here. It's still not wanting to show anything, so here we go. I'll just have to do it entirely from my own accord, as here we go. We're good start there for the top two. Steve Hefford not far behind Jamie Ayres here, and it looks like Carl Jacquelette's already going to get to the outside of Steve Hefford. Although the two Momo cars are going to be side by side out here coming onto the run into turn 4. I was going to say it looks fairly clean, but there's quite a big gap in the group already, so I doubt that from further behind, as it looks like some of the cars going very wide there out, but I'll hand over to you to see if I can fix these issues.
As we are watching here, folks, let me get updated on my end. There we go. As Carl Hardy really trying to... Because I'm having the same issue. There we go. Really working through there. He's got the lead coming onto the oval. Jamie Ayres not too far behind. Steve Hefford. Everybody lined up 1, 2, 3 here. As we are rolling along pretty well here. The Momo guys, 1, 2, and 3 in really good position here coming onto the oval. They're going to get to the outside of Carl Hardy. Coming into the chicane, a little bit of headlight action here. We got a bump draft going on. Got to be careful with that with the Momo guys. The bump draft's not very good to have here, as he puts a lot of pressure on Jamie Ayres, but he's able to make it through there cleanly. Steve Hefford behind him, Carl Hardy.
Unfortunately not quite able to fix any issues that I'm having at the moment, but show must go on either way. Jamie Ayres, who's got a pretty good gap out in front, but we see now Steve Hefford on the inside. Is Carl Jacquelette going to be able to get a run through him onto turn 1? Unless he is the master of late braking, it doesn't look like he will be able to. But we'll be able to switch through to the inside, not quite. Jamie Ayres going quite wide, so Steve Hefford very close now up onto the back. In fact, very close now up onto the side of Jamie Ayres, but backing out of that one, you don't necessarily want to be battling with your teammates 2 laps in. So it's all calm now here. One by one coming into this right-hander and then going towards the left-hander, which brings you out onto the oval. We have now this time got a 12-car pack. And that's going to lead us out onto the oval for the second time.
Definitely, and I'm trying to keep an eye on where you are. If you want to check your messages, I may have a quick solution to that. If that doesn't work, let me know. As we're going to get rolling here.
It does not.
Oh, you click the eyeball and click it off again?
Yeah, tried that.
There you go. Still stuck on that 2 camera. No worries here. As we are moving through, just share your screen on Discord, and I can see from there. Steve Hefford holding off the lead. Jamie Ayers in second. Everybody else lined up all the way back to Joe McDonald, the last one in that train, about 4 seconds back. But nonetheless, everybody pretty much kind of biding their time until we get to the final laps here. Very smart move. I think the biggest battle we got going on is Dan Hunt and Katz trying to make his way back up after the invert. 3-wide battle here. Pete Van Gool, Dan Hunt, and Charles Kellerman. Seeing that in the rearview mirror as Peter Van Gool is going to fall back 3-wide going into turn 1. As Craig Jones getting the bad end of that stick. Pete Van Gool able to keep it up. But up in third, we have a battle between Steve Hafford and Carl Jacquelet. A little accordion style going on here. Carl's going to have the inside at the advantage as we got a lot of right-handers coming up, but we have seen people able to go side by side and make that work here, as that is what happens with Steve Hefford, able to get one of the only left-hand turns and take the advantage on Carl. And now Carl Hardy involved. We saw these guys involved in a little bit of an issue to begin with.
Back. I saw some smoke. It doesn't look like anyone's dropping back though. Although Katz is going alongside Kellyman on the run to the oval. I'm going to try restarting my live timing once again to see if that changes anything.
As we are in the oval portion once more, folks. A little bit of a two-way battle, the 42 and the 72. 42 trying to get to the inside of the 72, cutting off the lane that Steve Hefford has. It's not going to work for him. Steve Hefford going to clear pretty handily on Carl Jacquelet. Jamie Ayers now working to get up to the teammate. Andy Maxwell there as well. A lot of names we've said all day long. Carl Hardy in 5th. Andreas Katz up 8 positions. And Pete Van Gool. Everybody battling for position here in 3rd. Absolute bumble of bees as Jamie Ayers has a rear view mirror full of cars. This is going to be a nasty turn 1, folks. Keep an eye on it.
Goodness.
As we got 3, 4 wide. Everybody splitting up the difference, trying to come into one. Nobody giving an inch with these cars, but everybody's through cleanly. Now it shakes out Jamie Ayers, Carl Jacquelet, and Steve Hefford. Your top 3. Everybody else, I think the only car there is Joe McDonald getting a little bit out of sorts. He's going to come back on track. That's Craig Jones, I'm sorry. And then up front, Steve Hefford pushed to the outside a little bit by Carl Jacquelet. He's going to make it spread out a little bit as Andreas Katz, that matte red vehicle, able to make it back up here.
You know what? I'm surprised that they all got through turn 1. That was
To the skill.
That was 10 cars and about 3 car lengths. So, and they all managed to make it through. They all knew where everyone was. Wish we were able to show you where people are, but it looks like iRacing live timing is having some rather large issues. So unfortunately, this is going to have to be an all-talking affair. But
make sure you're connected as the broadcaster. Maybe that's something that's messing up. I don't know what the deal is with it. As we got another 4-wide battle here. Jamie Ayers that has his hands full coming into the chicane with Carl Jacquelet and Steve Hefford. Steve just trying to find any advantage he can on Carl. He's unable to do so as Carl, some pretty aggressive blocking there on the bottom. He's going to Steve to the top side, and Jamie just wants to keep seeing this battle happen. Keep side drafting each other, guys. Keep having trouble going through turns 1, as he's going to try and step it out here as the teammate Steve Heffert gets the advantage with the side draft on Carl, and he's going to bring Andreas Katz and a host of others behind him as a big slowdown from Steve Heffert, as he's going to bunch them up coming into turn 1. 4 wide in the back. 3 wide now, still 2 wide. As Pete Van Gool gets the bat in there, is now Carl Jacquelet back in his position, really able to control turn 1. As hard outbreaking by Steve Heffert gets him to the middle, but oh no! Andreas Katz was there. Andreas Katz getting into him. 3 wide behind him. Dan Hunt, Charles Kellerman. Huge stack up. Dan Hunt, the only one, and Joe McDonald able to get up to 5th, but up front in 2nd. I'll let you take it away since you got the cameras.
Yeah, big trouble there. It looked like Pete Van Gool lost a rear wheel there, so unfortunately he'll be going no further. I guess, to be honest, that was bound to happen when they were racing so close together. They're all very skilled drivers, but this stuff does just happen. Pete Van Gool is out, and Dan Hunt is also out. I believe we are 5.5 laps in, so we'll be coming on to lap 6. But Jamie Ayres has got a bit of a gap here. It's not going to last, but he does have a gap for now. And these 3 that we're seeing, Steve Heffert, Carl Jacquelet, and Katz in the middle, splitting them up into the chicane. Oh, yep, that's gone very wrong there. That's gone very wrong for Andreas Katz. Is around Carl Jacquelet, managing to keep it, and Steve Heffert profiting the most out of that unfortunate circumstance, rather. I can speak English very well. But, yeah.
That's the Queen's English. As Jamie Ayres really, he was the most to gain out of that. It's a really good gap. I don't know if it's going to be enough. If he can work through, which he's got one of the fastest times in sectors 2 and 3. So if he can work through the infield and gap out a little bit more on Steve Heffert, he really needs to push here, as we haven't got the white flag yet. So we're going to get the white flag soon. 1 to go. As we're at 5 laps, probably a little bit more than that, I think. But
yeah,
Steve.
I thought it would be. Yeah, okay, that's correct now. Yeah.
That's lap. We're on lap 6. Our SDKs are messed up because we had to fix it. That's what's going on. So Steve Heffert really has to push here to get up to Jamie Ayres on the infield, as they're still trying to sort things out in 5 through 8. Jason.
Yeah, exactly. The carnage has created some nice gaps here. So we've got Jamie Ayres has got about 9/10 back to Steve Heffert, and he's got 1.4 seconds back to Joe McDonald. Then after that, it's about 1.1, 1.2 back to Cesare Rizzo. Then we start seeing the first actual group here once again. So everyone's going to have to try and work together as much as possible. Looks like Jamie Ayres is being hauled in by Steve Heffert, who's just about within slipstream range of his teammate. But Joe McDonald not making any headway here. So he's currently out of the slipstream range. If Steve Heffert and Jamie Ayres can just work together for a bit, as we know they can do as teammates, then they will be doing very well for themselves here, and it may well just be a battle for 3rd place between the guys behind them.
Yeah, that's the best case scenario for these guys up front. They really have to work together, don't want to be racing each other too much, as Joe McDonald's just sniffing that end of the draft, unable to do anything with it. As there they go, side by side, coming to the white flag. Give it to Steve Heffert, as he's going to try and break up that draft, go low as possible. And Joe McDonald unable to get with it. He's about 1.5 seconds to 1.75 seconds back. As this is going to be the battle, folks. And you got to think whatever happens in the infield here is pretty much a moot point. as they do not want to slow each other down enough to let Joe McDonald get in there, as he's already within a second. We've seen how good he can be on the infield, holding most of the records so far for Sector 1, which is our infield portion.
Yeah, exactly. Third place is where you want to be, but third place is normally a lot closer to second than this. There's now a 1.3 second gap between them again, and Cesare Rizzo is going for a move. He's going to have the outside into this right-hander. Is that going to work out? I'm not even sure it's going to be worth it, to be honest. There's a bit of contact between them, but these cars can take a beating. Joe McDonald managing to stay ahead there, but I'm afraid I don't think it's going to be enough for any of these guys to get towards the lead. They're now 1.5 seconds back from the two Momo drivers up at the front. Steve Hefford and Jamie Ayres, they're just, well, they're effectively just driving away from the pack behind here, as Rizzo is going to go for another move on McDonald here into the chicane. Is this going to work out for him? Might work out for him now, but I'm not sure how it's going to be in the end. They're still side by side. That's not going to work out for you. They're all coming together now back there. Is that Carl Jacquelette's on the inside of Rizzo? He's just managed to get past. I think Joe McDonald's going to have a decent run out here. He might not be
the
caught.
Leaders.
Yeah,
Jamie
watch the
Ayres.
leaders here.
Absolutely getting the draft. He timed it perfectly. He's going to go to the inside of the teammate Steve Hefford, pass him like he is standing still, as they're going to kind of equalize here. Coming to the checkered, we're going to see. I don't think Steve has enough to do anything. He's not even going to try. Going to give the teammate Jamie Ayres the win. Steve Hefford coming in second. Joe McDonald in third. Rizzo fourth, and Jacquelette in fifth.
Yeah, unfortunately couldn't get the issues solved there. On our timing screens, we got the timing perfectly fine. It's just the overlay not wanting to come up here. We're just following Andy Maxwell here to come across the line. It looks like Andy Little is just about going to get him on the line here. So something might be wrong with Maxwell's car. Then with Steve Hansford's going to come across the line. There's Ralph Cullinan and Darrell Wright coming across. Wright just managing to get past. I don't think there's any legs left in that 32 of Cullinan, unfortunately. So he's going to be resigned to 18th position, but confirmation of the finishing order. We've got Jamie Ayres in first place for race 4. Steve Hefford is Momo teammate in second, so a good race for that team. Joe McDonald is in third with Cesare Rizzo in fourth, Carl Jacquelette fifth, Craig Jones in sixth, Scott Malcolm finished seventh, Carl Hardy 8th, Roger Morton in 9th, Charles Kellyman finished 10th, Andreas Katz 11th, Alan Toon finished in 12th with Mick Barry in 13th. Andy Littler was 14th with Andy Maxwell in 15th, Steve Hansford in 16th, Darrell Wright in 17th, and Ralph Cullinan the last of the finishers with Pete Van Gool and Dan Hunt unfortunately having to bow out of that race after an unfortunate incident. But I think we have time for one last interview, and then we can wrap up with our closing comments. Who do we reckon we should get in?
Let's talk to our winner, Jamie Ayres.
Yeah, let's see if we can get him in here. Hello, Jamie. Do you have us here in the booth?
Hello, sorry.
Ooh.
Good evening.
Coming in like a wrecking ball. I like it.
I couldn't find the button on my wheel because I was spinning. Sorry.
That'll
Yeah,
do it.
yeah, exactly. Well, it was a good race there in the end to get the win. My timing screen says you were up 16 positions in that race, so that's a good effort from yourself and your teammate.
Well, I don't understand that because I started on the front row.
Well, yeah. We were having a few issues, so I was questioning whether
fair
that
enough.
was correct. So evidently not correct, but it's still a good race in the end, starting on the front row and finishing in first. So, well, just
See what I was just saying now, that we thought we managed that race well. Feeding off each other's slipstream and just working other cars around us, and we just stayed 1 and 3 and 1 and 2, and managed it really nicely.
Yeah, no, you pulled a good gap to Joe McDonald and the rest of the pack behind, coming through there, just avoiding some incidents quite nicely. It looked really really chaotic on one of those laps. I can't exactly remember which one, into turn 1. There was about 10 cars there within 5 car lengths of each other. So how do you think, how were you just avoiding incidents there?
Well, as I say, luckily I started front row and just sort of managed it from the front. I did see a few incidents in my rear view. And Pete Vangool, our teammate, I know he was involved in a big one. I'm guessing that's the one you were talking about. I think there was 4 or 5 cars that died at that point, which gave us a bigger gap at the front, and we just kind of managed it from there.
Yeah, I'll hand it over to you, James, if you have any questions.
No, not at all. Just fantastic running. Started second, finished first. How was the teammate there? You had the run. Was he just not wanting to risk losing the 1-2 finish there at the end?
Steve just said go by on the inside, and he was going to tuck in and see how close he could get to the back of me across the line.
Yeah, definitely. That's what teammates are for, right? So congratulations on the final win of the day, and hopefully you go celebrate with your teammates, celebrate the 1-2.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for a good broadcast again, and catch you next week.
Yeah, we sure will. See you next week. And well, I think that just about rounds us out. I will once again apologise for the issues there in the last race, so we weren't able to show you a timing screen, but still, it was a good race in the end, despite some of the issues that our drivers had and despite the issues up here.
Yeah, it definitely was a fantastic race. We didn't miss anything on the catch in the race, so good job on you, honestly, for picking that up and helping us out, as it was a blast. I had a good time watching these guys at Daytona and can't wait for next week.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for joining me. I will have to... can't get my graphic up now to see what the next race in the calendar is, so we'll have to go hunting for it quickly. Let's see if I can find that. There we go, I can. So next week we are going to be at the Interlagos GP circuit in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Very interesting circuit. I'm not sure how it runs in these MX-5s, but that's also going to be an interesting one. Less of a slipstream fest than this one, but it's got a very long start finish curve. Really, is the best way I can describe it. So that's going to provide some nice racing into the turns 1, 2, and 3 complex at that track. But that is next week, 16th of November, same time, same place. And any closing comments here, James, before we wrap up?
No, I think you said it all. Let's get it rocking, get these MX-5s around in South America.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, well, those were some good racing once again. This series always produces great racing, so I'd like to give a big thank you to all of the drivers and all of the organisers for this league. It's a very great format with some very talented drivers in it, and it always produces great racing. So props to everyone involved, and thank you, James, for joining me today. But I think that just about wraps it up. So it's going to be a goodbye from us here at ESPN, and we will be back with you next week for more MX-5 action.